What is going on, folks? The reincarnation of L. Ron Hubbard here. Fake Mike. Real news. Snatched it up again. 2 for 2. Welcome to the stream, guys. Everyone, please share the video. Hit the like on your way in. Let's let some people file in here. And we've got another story. Unfortunately, it sounds similar to a few stories we've had here already on Fake Mike Real News and Demand the Truth. What up, Red Instrumental? What up, Boston Metal? What up, Mike? What up, Disambiguation? And the thing is, we've highlighted this, and typically what happens is people will reach out to the proper authorities, the government, the police, the media, the helpful people, the besties. And then when they don't help, they'll almost invariably end up, well, we got nothing else to try here. Might as well talk to this guy with the kitchen utensils. So it's unfortunate that we have to meet under these circumstances, but that's how I meet a lot of people. And it's actually good to meet you too, because you're not people that just take this laying down, and that says a lot about your character. So welcome to the stream, and tell people a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get into this.
Well, how we doing? Thanks, Will, for having us on. I'm Josh. This is Rachel.
Hi, thank you.
Basically, I'm a father, inventor, small business owner, turned activist, independent journalist, and whistleblower. And through that, my beautiful and amazing ride or die sidekick wife here has become her own variation of those in her own form of hats that she wears as well.
Yes, I'm Rachel Ware. I'm Josh's fiance and stepmom to his child, and witnessing some of the things that he's gone through, and then now myself has gone through. I have also become an activist, fighting against a lot of different things, but trying to bring awareness to our situation to hopefully change some things and prevent other families from going through what we're experiencing, but most importantly, what the child is going through and what other children may go through.
Yeah, and that's one of the common themes with these type of stories when we cover them is there's failures at every place where these people are supposed to be looking out for the most vulnerable people. And unfortunately, it's become a saga. It could have just been one isolated. It shouldn't have even been one isolated incident, but now it's become an ongoing saga. And as you mentioned, it's one thing if you're just messing with some grown-ups, but you're bringing children into this, and it's a very traumatizing thing for a child to have to go through some of these things. So let's start at the beginning where all this originated from. I got a couple things I want to say on this too. And then, because there's a whole bunch of stuff here. There's so much stuff here.
Yes.
So, yeah, let's get right into it.
So, to be brief and important, as a father, I went to pick up my biological daughter at the end of school day back in September of 2019. Was in communication with the school, whatnot, so they were aware of my pickup. It was my daughter. She was in a new school. She's only been there for this 4 days. The first week, was her first week. Her fourth day when this occurrence took place. I went to pick her up anyway. It was dismissal. During an exchange with of the dismissal, getting my daughter, the principal had come out, basically hollered at me, "You can't take her." Bewildered and kind of embarrassed and like in a really awkward situation. I'm like, "Can we discuss this in private?" So she obliges.
Just imagine the nerve in the first place. This is a little situation we're in as a nation here. When the principal or vice principal actually says to the biological parent, "You can't take your daughter." Just insane. But sorry, continue.
You also have to understand that Josh had custody of his child. Like literally the teacher took her hand and gave it to dad. It was the end of the day, which means that relinquishes that situation to then be going on, and the parent has custody of the child.
And the parent always has custody of the child.
Correct.
Correct.
Look at this. It's like it's an official transfer. I'm giving back your child to you. No, that's always your daughter. It's just crazy
100%.
how they can how just in their heads they've gotten to the point where they think they control our children so much, where they can say to a biological parent, "You can't touch your daughter." Sorry, I'm sorry to laugh, but that makes
No,
it's sad. It's
it's
very sad that this is occurring.
it's amazing. I can almost laugh about it now out of like sheer overwhelmingness, like ha ha ha. Because if I don't laugh, I'll probably go mad, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So, but within that, within this pickup, I follow the principal into what I believe is her office because I don't know any better. She leans over to a gentleman, whispers something to him. I see him leave. This school is particularly set up to set a glass uh, wall, a partition where you can see the entrance and exit to the school. Anyway, I follow, see him leave. I follow the principal into evidently her office. While I'm going in, I end up seeing a police officer come in and he plants himself within the principal's office with the two of us, unprovoked. No real reason to have a police officer. There, I
I'm
actually,
sorry. How old is your daughter at this time?
she was 9 at the time
She's
and in
9 years old.
elementary school.
So now this isn't a high school we're talking about, which police officers, in my opinion, shouldn't be at high schools unless they're showing up to because they've been called. We're talking about a 9-year-old girl. You're growing up with police officers there, and then they're going into private conversations with the parent and the principal. This is totally crazy. This is not like we're not talking about some type of gangland high school where there's metal detectors and it's a high school and there's gangs. We're talking about these kids should be learning about C-Spot Run, and you've got police officers here.
Correct.
Well, and we also found out through our own investigation looking into understanding these things that normally there's what's called a school resource officer in the schools here in Rhode Island. But this particular day, now mind you, it's the 4th day of this school year in 2019. We've been told that the police officer, not an SRO officer, was on campus because of the fact that the principal had issues with other parents. We don't know what those other issues are, but that's why we were told a police officer versus an SRO officer was there the day Josh went to pick up his daughter.
And to add on that just briefly, this is this particular principal's very first year at this school. So that adds a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
Inside the office, the principal proceeds to exclaim that this particular piece of paper, unbeknownst to me, and come to find out the emergency care card, my name wasn't on it. So she's basing this, you can't have your daughter, off an emergency care card paper, which to my understanding and everybody understanding, it's an emergency care card in case of an emergency situation, who can pick up that child or have access under these emergency situations, which this was not. It was a dismissal. End of day, that's it. There was no emergency. Anyway, so she continues along, and I obviously refute her claims over and over and tell her how she's basically incorrect. She, in turn, turns to a desktop, pulls up some system program, and my name's the only name that shows up. I can visibly see this. I call her out on it. She closes down the terminal. The officer asks, did you see him? She even says yes, but I do not feel comfortable. I need to call the superintendent. At this point, I'm like, you're out of line. You have no legal authority, no court document. This isn't an emergency. I have plans. I've already said you I need to go. I leave unobstructed. I walk past the officer, out the entrance. I regroup with Rachel, my daughter, and the teacher. Say, we got to go. Kind of really quick. It was about a couple of seconds worth of time. Everything was kind of really, it seems very condensed. So, but that was a quick exchange. We leave. We're heading down the face of the school, the elementary school, and I hear from behind me these hollers to, you can't leave, and if I don't stop, I'm going to grab your daughter. I turn, and now I'm facing the police officer that was in the principal's office. I exchange with him about his authority and his inability to do so, which and I kind of at this point, I'm kind of separating myself from Rachel and my daughter, because I was kind of protecting each other and backing away, hands down, backing away for him. He decides to say, if you don't stop, I'm going to stop you. And I, again, challenge that authority. And within challenging him, he's hands on, grabbing my neck, this, that, the other thing, gets me in a headlock, kicking my feet, kick my shoe off my property, just going across this little grass way. There's school buses, kids, teachers, parents watching this exchange of violence. At one point of me trying to just kind of understand what's going on, getting really protective because I have this man grabbing me for no real reason. He ends up grabbing my arm in a very violent way and yanking it behind me and bringing me violently to the ground. Unbeknownst to him, I had a surgery a year or two prior to that, and he really did some damage. That's what ultimately brought me to the ground. So while I'm on the ground, he's cuffing me. Rachel's exclaiming, "Stop, stop, stop." My daughter's having this violent fit, pulling her hair out, her grass, screaming, yelling, watching this violent exchange. So, yeah, I'm on the ground. He won't let me get up. He's kind of jarring at me, kind of, what are you going to do about it? Blah, blah, blah. School becomes overwhelmed with 30, 40 police officers, 18 cruisers. Like, it was this violent scene. I end up taking over to a cruiser, cuffed. They're interrogating me, asking me all these questions. Where's your license? Which is on the ground, blah, 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 blah. They go back and forth, treat me like I'm this violent individual. My daughter and her ushered into the school.
Well, so they take Josh away, and me and his daughter, I'm over to her now because, as he stated, she was freaking out. She's watching her dad get manhandled and aggressively arrested for no reason. I'm trying to calm her down. I'm not knowing who to trust because the school is the one that sent this police officer after Josh. I don't feel comfortable going in there, but he's getting taken away. I now have Carissa. I'll be quite honest with you. I stood there. I was like, no, we're not going in the school. Eventually, they end up getting us into the school. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Josh. They won't let me leave with Carissa because I wasn't on the emergency care card at that time, and I'm not legally married to Josh either at the moment. And they contact her mother, and then they end up having the grandmother come and pick his daughter up. They actually separated us at one point, and an officer started questioning her, and I got up to go, hey, what's going on? Because she's a minor. She's not supposed to be questioned without an adult there. Then I got threatened by another police officer that if I didn't sit back down, I was going to get arrested. And I was like, excuse me, I'm checking on my stepdaughter here.
Oh my God.
So then fast forward.
Well, I'm not sure if you have any questions, but at this point, I'm taken to the police station. I'm not told what my charges are because the arresting officer is still inside the school with commanding officers and all these other hierarchies. So I'm brought to the Cranston police station, held, then processed, being charged with resisting arrest, obstruction of justice, and disorderly conduct. So basically 3 low-level misdemeanor charges just to cause grief, even though during the phone call that Rachel mentioned to the mother, nobody knows what it was, but she obviously had the ability to say that I had access to my daughter, regardless of there was no court documents. There was nothing stopping her. So they used something off her word and then proceeded, again, off some other whatever exchanges happened in with the police and the principal's office to charge me with those charges. I believe it was to cover up something else that happened, but we'll get to that. Taken to the police station, I'm released at about 9:15. I end up going and picking up my daughter that night from her house, unchallenged, no issues. She came running right outside. 9:45, I'm picking her up that night. We go on with our weekend because we had a planned weekend away. Come Wednesday, 5 days later, I'm informed that I have 2 restraining orders placed against me. One against my daughter and one against her biological mother, who I ultimately find out when I hire a lawyer and subpoena some information, set forth this chain of events by September 4th. She orchestrated with somebody within inside the elementary school the changing of this particular emergency care card. As I was on it, and I have supplied you with some documentation. I was on it and then removed. It shows that the change of this document took place on the 5th of September, leading into the 6th, my altercation, if you will, with the school. So it shows that she altered the emergency care card that day, and the 5th, she also accessed a system called Aspen. She accesses this system several times, one time at least an hour at a span, probably refreshing to see if her changes had taken effect.
So, and Aspen was the website that she was using to verify if the emergency contact had been updated?
Yes, sir.
Yes, a week or so prior, sir, we were at a meet and greet. And during that meet and greet, we met Josh's daughter's new teacher. We met the principal. And during that time, Josh and his ex sat down and filled out the emergency care card. It says father, mother, and then contacts on it.
And that did you guys, at this point, what was the custody like?
What?
Before, did you guys had worked out custody privately, or is it
correct
weekends? So you guys had no... You guys hadn't gone. You guys were just, hey, this is my daughter. You're my ex-wife, and we just work it out. That's what the agreement was before that. Okay.
Correct. Ex-fiance. We never were married, unfortunately. That's what caused. No, sorry, but that's what causes some gray area in Rhode Island is that marriage thing. So my rights are much less in the eyes of Rhode Island.
So because you didn't get married, you're less entitled to your biological daughter.
Ah, yes.
Solid argument. And by the way, if you're just joining us right now, guys, so first of all, smack the like and share this video. It's very important. We need to get eyeballs on this. So this guy, last I checked, he wasn't a mass murderer or wizard. He goes to pick up his daughter, his biological daughter, and the vice principal's like, hey, no, you can't pick up your daughter. And the cop says, hey, you either conform to what I say or I'm going to steal your daughter. So he was kidnapped. His daughter was kidnapped, and then to add insult to injury, they threw disorderly. We talk about that all the time. Disorderly, right? They had the gall to then charge him with 3 crimes for not doing anything illegal and picking up his daughter from school. We're on the same page here, okay? This is insane that this can happen in this country. And it goes to show you, people talk about your rights, your freedoms. Your kids don't even belong to you. Your kids don't even belong to you, and that's why I'm very proud of these people that they're actually taking a stand and not bowing down. Because you know how many people every single day are put in different situations like this and just bow and won't make us think about it. It's really crazy because the people that speak out are very infinitesimal. It's a very small fraction. So I commend you guys for doing this and going through with this because it's not the easy thing to do, but it's the right thing to do, and you have to do it. You didn't want to do this. You didn't want to have to do this. You probably wanted to be building your business, right? Or spending time with your daughter. But no, you try to pick up your daughter from school and you're arrested.
Correct.
So, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No problem.
If you're just joining.
No worries. We were never in court, but part of the whole situation was my daughter and I were subject of parental alienation over the years. So it was definitely a struggle, and it never got into court until after this situation with the school. And that's where some DCYF manipulation comes in as well. So it gets very convoluted and complicated and very corrupt as this situation prolonged. Because come to find out, I had 2 restraining orders placed on me, one from my ex and one from my biological daughter. The DCYF system massaged the ex into doing so. One of the understandings I have from my daughter's own admission that if she didn't do something, she would have been put into foster care. So admittedly, even on the ex's statement, they I was told it's in my best interest to take out these restraining orders. Admittedly so, in the very first part of this woman's own document to get the restraining orders. So DCYF gets involved. Ultimately, there was a family court situation that follows under that.
So how
But
does
I was
DCYF get involved?
because the police apparently sent this particular caseworker at DCYF the arrest that took place at the school for some particular
So
reason.
after the arrest, then so they arrest you for picking up your daughter,
Yes.
which, and then they go to snitch to DCYF to follow
Yes.
up on, hey, this
Yes.
guy's been picking up his daughter from school. You might want to F
It's even in the police report at the bottom.
But what's weird about it is that night, like if Josh was like such a threat to his daughter or his ex, why did at 9:45 at night the child's mother never came downstairs to speak to Josh? She allowed her daughter to walk out with her backpack. As he said, we had a planned weekend. We did charity events all weekend. We took her to school on Monday. Next thing you know, Wednesday, we find out that he has a restraining order put against him.
Not one, two.
Two, but what changed in those 5 days? If she would have kept his daughter that night, I could see not believing it, but then she would have more grounds. But you wait 5 days, all because he got
Let me just say
arrested.
this about the restraining order stuff. I think restraining orders are completely unconstitutional. They're completely illegal, right? I've had a restraining order against me one time. Pat Crowley, who, first of all, just people laugh actually in the comments. Oh, I can't believe you're lying, Will. You say you don't have a criminal record. Actually, I don't. Surprisingly, I don't have a criminal record. I've been arrested many times for suspended license. It's not criminal. But yeah, I have a completely. Am I going through a case or two now where I just got arrested for protesting? Yeah, that's ongoing. But with these restraining orders, they can take out a restraining order against you. Pat Crowley was able to take out a restraining order against me because he was so feared for his life. I actually had the chance to go and speak back against him on why he should not be able to do this, right? Because I don't have a criminal record, right? I've only ever saw him at the State House, which is where he's a lobbyist at, right? I've never threatened him. I've never made any violent allegations ever. But yet he was able to block me from going to the State House under threat of arrest, right? And this is what these restraining orders are. That you need to be, if let's just say Josh did something terrible to somebody, right? And then, then convict him of the jury of his peers, let him have all his appeals. And if that doesn't work out for him, sorry, buddy. And I still don't believe in justice system, but hey, you go do it that way. You go do it that way. But these restraining orders can not only stop you from seeing someone or going to a place, but can literally separate you from your daughter. Now, Josh, had you committed a crime and there was overwhelming evidence saying that, hey, you did something to your daughter, well, then maybe you can go away to a jail, right? But they're just saying you can't see your daughter. And this is all based on you being arrested for picking up your daughter legally and lawfully.
Correct. So that was sent off to
DCYF, and then what does DCYF do?
Well, they did nothing with me after. They manipulated and massaged the situation. The restraining order came in, and that was it. There was nothing else that took place thereafter. Were never.
So how long was the restraining order supposedly?
21 days.
21 days. So.
And then when I was able to go to court, the judge was like, "This isn't a thing."
Okay, good. See, that's how they do these things, and then that makes you look bad too, because then someone can argue against you in a court. I mean, this guy's had a restraining order against his own daughter, and it's like it's perverse how they do these things, and we need to really stand up for these folks too. I'm going to be putting there. If you guys want to send it, did you guys send that over to me in the chat?
Yes,
okay, I'm going to put that up on in the link in a sec. It's going to be the first link in the description. I'm going to update that and put it on screen and put it in the chat there too. All right, so where do we go from here? Now you got the restraining order, and then what happens?
Well, there's the restraining order, family court, and criminal court. To mitigate family court, my lawyer, again, corrupt, gives me the understanding and basically puts me in moments of duress multiple times because he didn't want to fight for me. He just wanted to fight for the system. Says that if I don't basically
This is family
resolve,
court?
criminal court lawyer at this
This
time.
is a criminal court, okay.
Yes. But I did have both cases simultaneously. But I had to resolve the criminal court case first before I could deal with the family court per some type of statute. So, not I've never seen it, but this is what I'm allegedly told. So I was trying to fight it because I knew I was wrong, but I kept being stonewalled by this particular lawyer who ultimately is friends with the city solicitor, still, admittedly so. If you investigate him, he'll admit it. I ended up taking a plea because he says if I fight it and anything comes out bad against you, they can use it against you in the family court case. So that put me in like, all right, now I'm panicking. I'm not trying to lose my daughter over something I did not do. So he gives me this best deal. I take a filing. If I don't do anything in a year, supposedly disappears. Well, I didn't do anything in a year and it disappeared, but that was the resolve there. Then I was able to address family court. I had the same lawyer who I dumped him because I was trying to find, we were trying to find ways to bring in legislation to prevent this kind of nonsense happening. We meet at the time, a senator, which we'll get into a little bit more, who ultimately I hired as a family court lawyer who also gave me a very raw deal. And with that respect, she ends up taking a seat, superior court seat, judge, Supreme Court seat, judge. I end up now navigating the family court system on my own as pro se. Thankfully, the mother, the biological mother, had enough, and I was able to come to an agreement that we would get out with very simple terms.
I also realized this happened in 2019 September, and then next thing you know, COVID came in March. So he was in family court, the criminal, he had taken the filing. It took us almost the year during COVID because everything got postponed, shut down. There was,
virtual meetings.
So by the time he's able to resolve the family court matter, it is spring of 2021.
April.
Yep. And so your whole life is on hold because of this. And family court also is not constitutional. It's not civil court. It's not criminal court. You haven't been accused of any crime. There's no crime accused here. The only thing that's happening is you're going on. So they're dragging you through all sorts of these legal things. And the thing is, you have to, in a way, go to DCF court, because if not, then they're going to say you're stealing your own daughter.
Amazing.
And so
if you don't, they will take you from her, or her from you, or him from you, whatever the case may be. Physically, they will remove them from you if you don't comply.
And that's what the officer said at the very beginning. These people are holding your child over your head, and this is not some isolated incident here, guys. If you're just joining us, and what we need to do, I just updated the description. Their GoFundMe type of thing is right there. Please share it. Donate if you can. At least share the link if you can't. I understand some people can't, but give $5, $10, $20. Let them know Fake Mike sent you, so we know that we're having an effect over here, right? If you can't do that, share the link, share the video. It's in the description. It's also the pinned comment on YouTube right now, because we need to apply pressure, and even if you donate, I know some people that are donating, that's great. But also you gotta share the video too, because it's important that we put nonviolent pressure on these people to make the right decision, because this doesn't happen often. And so we need to stand by the parents that are doing the right things, because collectively that's what the government is. They've got, you don't do what they say, even if it's not your child, men with guns are gonna come and put you in a cage if they don't do what you say, right? So you don't do what they say. So that's the unfortunate situation that we're doing right now. Thank you for sharing, Brandon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing this video. Rebroadcast it, restream it, get it out there, guys. And the link's in the description. So please, please, please share it. Share this on your tabs, everything. But yes, so please continue, sir.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. So now we're able to resolve this family court matter. The judge sees and signs off on a order that gives both parents joint custody, no other terms, no visiting, no other stipulations, and any prior court orders to this, which there were null and void. And this was agreed upon in April and then ultimately signed off on in May by the judge. So that was that situation. We're going to fast forward, beautiful 6 months later, October 21st comes around. My daughter's now in a different school. She was in elementary. Now she's in middle school, two different schools, not even the same grounds. And I get a message from inside the school, Dad, I need help. I need to actually go and change my pants. Go home, change my pants, and come back. Young girl. My other half, understanding the severity of the nature, it's 8 a.m.-ish. We're working, we rush to the school to aid her and assist her in her needs. It is still a COVID era, masking and such. I get to the school, ring the bell, I'm greeted, basically told initially you need a mask. I really can't wear one, and it's unconstitutional, but I digress. I explained to the woman who greeted me, I'm here to emergency retrieve my daughter. Once she's basically allowed to leave, I'll go wait outside. So I'm still inside the school at this point. We're now navigating our way to the office, which is only a few feet away from the main entrance. So I'm nowhere inside the school per se, but I'm by the office area. Within moments, the office has then become overwhelmed with principal, two vice principals, and others office staff or administration. Mask, 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 all these commands. I was kind of like taken back. And I'm trying to now really focus on the principal because the only person I really care to and need my daughter, as I explained to this young lady, it's an emergency circumstance, I'll bring her back. He's asking all these personal questions. I'm like, I don't necessarily need to answer that. This is my ID. This is who I am. I need my daughter. I'm just bringing her back. He ultimately pulls up from the system, or somebody exclaims, it's really fast, that you can't take her. Now I'm go to like flashback. I hit this like PTSD moment and I like shock. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is absurd because I know I can. And I know what they just told me is wrong because they said something to the effect that there's an order here that I need a permission to retrieve her, and essentially written permission or verbal. I knew this wasn't the case. And I'm like, this is wrong. So unbeknownst to me, they made a phone call to the biological mom while I'm talking to the principal, who comes out with this piece of paper he's waving around like the last principal trying to withhold my parental rights. I did. I grabbed the paper from him and I ripped it right in the hallway. I'm not going to lie, because I was frustrated. I'm like, that's wrong. I didn't have my document because why would I? Basically 6-7 months later. In this exchange, an actual school resource officer at this time, comes in and plants himself in the school while this is all going on. Basically, in my opinion, takes operational control and starts doing his thing. I'm, again, still in that moment. He's getting the wrong information from the principal, and I'm exclaiming, you're wrong, and they're only believing what they've been told.
That's your first mistake. You argued with somebody that cannot be wrong. That's the thing and that's why we have to stand up for our rights and flex our rights in ordinary circumstances, because since nobody flexed their rights, since nobody stood up for themselves all this time, these police, these criminals at the school, they think that they can do this because nobody flexed their rights. This is what happens when you don't flex your rights collectively as a society. I'm not pointing to Roger and all the great people in the chat that actually do flex your rights. But this is exactly what happened. They feel emboldened enough to steal your children and to say, and even how many times have we seen it on this channel alone where we prove them 100% wrong right there, but they can't admit it. They're not humble enough to admit they're wrong. They get paid to uphold the law. That even when they admitted that they're wrong and they're doing the wrong thing, and how many circumstances, not with just me, other people on this channel, How many times did they ever swallow the pride and say, no, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm wrong? No, they don't. So that's exactly why we have to non-violently flex our rights, because these people think that they can get away with this, and they have been getting away with this. And unfortunately, they're continually getting away with this, which is why we're highlighting this here. My apologies again.
No, not at all. This is an exchange, and that's how dialogue works. And that was one of the things that was missing here. There was no dialogue. Anything that I tried to get across, I was just shouted over, different command, different this, different that. Because even at this point, another resource officer, school resource officer, plants himself in, and this one particular initial resource officer removes himself and goes into the office. And now, at this point, I've actually even had brought in Rachel within the two resource officer kind of exchange, because I'm really trying to condense, because I don't want to bore, but I want to stay concise with details.
No, this is good information, and it's very impactful. So yeah, take your time, brother.
Thank you. At this point, Rachel had been brought in, and thankfully she brought in my phone, and we were able to record a good percentage of this school interaction with myself and the school resource officers from this point on. I have this one officer. Before the video, I couldn't really get a word in edgewise with him. He kept talking over me, and so in a heightened state, I kept trying to obviously talk over him, getting my point across, which was at that point going nowhere. Unbeknownst to me, this other resource officer is in doing his thing, making calls and whatnot. She has more information on this very shortly, and then ends up coming back out and regroups with us. And upon entry, and it's on video, says, "Mr. Mello," I exclaim, "Yes, sir. We remember you now." Off camera, you hear the other officer who was with me the entire time exclaim, "Yes." Where he gets his yes from or his information from, I don't know, but he feels privy to something, some kind of information.
And this is an officer?
I'm sorry?
And this is an officer saying this? The
school resource officer, correct.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
They stated, "We remember you. You did the same thing at George
What
Peters."
the hell is that? What do you take that to even mean after this? After you guys arrested me for, and you're still dealing with that, right?
Yes.
And plus, the cops are supposed to not go along with the masks, right? That the cops are supposed to be the right-wing guys that stick up for our rights and don't follow unconstitutional orders from the Democrats. What is that supposed to mean? That's like, to me, that's like a threat. Oh, now I remember you. Oh yeah, you're the guy that tried to pick up his daughter from school. What?
Discriminatory, extremely discriminatory, and prejudice.
Yeah, it sounds like they were talking about like a school shooter or a local lunatic or something like that. No, you're the guy that went to pick up your daughter. What is that supposed to mean? What is that even supposed to mean? Like,
I'm still trying to
people.
100%. Still trying to figure it out. They even have the gall. It's in the police report that they make that phrase to me. So it's not only on camera, it's in their police report. At this point, Rachel and I obviously refute that. We rebuke that. No, that's incorrect. And within this time frame, things start to get really escalated and go a little squirrely. That very same officer comes to terms where he basically just discards anything I say, anything we say. He basically, yeah, whatever, in his own words, not those exact words, but very shitty. Pardon my French. So he turns and says, "Well, you are allowed to take your daughter now," which I kind of find to be rude and insulting, and I object to that. What do you mean I'm not allowed? She's mine. So we job back and forth about that for a moment, which creates this element where, I'm disobedient, and they continue to escalate. And you can see and watch us being pushed. Now Rachel's in front, and these two officers, 200 something each, pushing, not like with hands, but with their bodies, pushing us. Words, push, push, push. And in the video, you can hear us, give us some space, trying to de-escalate on our own. That's not happening. It goes back and forth. They're saying you're not going to get your daughter. I'm sorry?
You want me to play the video?
Sure.
It's up to you. I'm just curious.
It'll help.
It'll help the viewers. I have nothing to hide. We do have active cases because of this, but I have nothing to hide.
Right?
I'm sorry?
You sent that to me on Facebook Messenger, right?
I did, and I believe it may be in a Google Gmail, but I believe it was on Messenger. Yes, sir.
All right, I'll grab that too, and I'll put that up. And then I'll play that in the background as you continue there.
There we go.
1 second.
Oh,
Sorry.
No, take your time.
one of the things that I find to be, I don't know what the right words is, but when he brings me in to find out what's going on, and like you said, I came in with the camera to record at the sorry, there was no de-escalation. So my concerns, one of my concerns of this whole situation is he comes in as a dad. He's coming distraught. His daughter needs him. He's getting resistance from the beginning. Then the minute they decide that they know him, there was no give us a minute. There was no.
And meanwhile, your daughter's going through, you know, a feminine emergency here. While while you know, like at least let your daughter you don't even have to tell them what the emergency is. It could have been a loved one died. It could have been anything. I mean, like who are you? I don't get me wrong. Like if it's you know, if it's the somebody's new husband or wife that just got married that's not the biological parent, yeah, you know they're on the emergency list, but run them through a couple questions, whatever, that's cool, I get it. But when you're a parent saying I have an emergency for my daughter, and instead of addressing the emergency or trying to help with the emergency, no, they're exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're saying. They do the opposite of de-escalation. They're supposedly trained in de-escalation, but that I've never, I barely ever see that occurring. Instead, they're escalating the situation, and then when you talk back to them, you're being disorderly. You're being disorderly because you're talking back to someone that's kidnapping you and your family.
Being disobedient, non-compliant.
You know, and I have a question too. Not once did anybody ever, nor do we know, did anybody check on Josh's daughter while this is taking place to find out what level of, like, this child, we were here to help her and bring her back.
That's the important thing here. That's like the most important thing, right? Is the young daughter. But instead of focusing on that, he's getting in an ego fight with somebody that it's his daughter, right? Instead of worrying about the little girl here, which should be the number one concern of everybody, is the little girl.
Correct.
There's a little girl and she has an emergency. Hey, let me go F with her dad. Insane. This is just total insanity. But the bootlickers, it just doesn't happen. And the thing is, this happens day after day after day after day throughout the United States. Unfortunately, I'm having a little difficulty finding this video. Let me see if it's in this other email here. But continue.
So, well, just to at least wrap up this section,
sure.
At this point, they're again, not de-escalating their height, and they're giving the commands, they're issuing this, issuing that, and because I'm non-compliant, challenging them, saying, "Well, bring." I just want my daughter, and that's what I keep seeing. You can hear me saying, "Just give me my daughter, give me my daughter." You repeat this. I just want her so I can help her. They're ultimately saying at one point it becomes where you're not going to get her unless you calm down. I'm like, calm down. Like, it was this, now it's this. Now you're not. I believe I said something. You're not going to tell me how I'm going to get my own daughter. And he comes back, "Well, I know I could arrest you," was his response to them respect. And I respond with, "You're not supposed to be an asshole." To him, was one of my responses. And within that, he grabs my phone, my hand that's extended recording, and he grabs it. That's where the end of that video that you're going to pull up ends. I'm now tackled to the ground, and I'm being assaulted by two men in the breezeway of the middle school. One has his hand around my throat while they were on top of me. And this is where she picks up the phone and then begins recording after that. And that's the altercation inside the breezeway. Taken away. And even in the video, you can see them outside. They're very abusive with me. One officer has my knee pinned against his bumper with the back of his knee. And I'm like, I'm incapacitated, but I'm like, I couldn't even I was in an awkward position. I was trying to reposition myself, and he wouldn't allow me. So I start drawing with him a little bit, like, let me move. I don't have to. And I kind of like go, and he whips me to the ground. And then that's kind of where the video starts to end up, where I'm loaded into a transport and taken away.
So something the viewers need to understand, whether or not you're able to find the video right now. So I pick up Josh's phone. These are two grown men, about 240 pounds apiece, tackle him to the ground in his school while trying to pick up his daughter for an emergency. They kneel on his neck. You can hear him not being able to breathe. He still has a little bit of a scar here from the contusion to his head. After they abrasion, after they take Josh away from the school, he ends up they call an ambulance. He gets taken to the emergency room. He had a cervical spine injury, a contusion to his head, cracked ribs, bruises all over his wrist. We have images and photos of all of this.
They
Knee
took
on
him
his
to the
neck.
hospital?
Yes, he got
immediately
taken.
after. Roger Williams.
Roger Williams Hospital.
Even the transporting officer who read my personal medical records that the doctor, she was reading through my medical. I'm sorry?
Did they charge you with something the second time?
Yeah, they charged. Did they charge me?
We're in active cases right now.
I'm in active cases right now because of this. And they also tried to defame me and sabotage my business by plastering me all over the news.
Then they abuse you and send you to the hospital. And then this is still an open case? So both of these cases are open cases?
Correct.
As well as in a case on top of this that happened subsequently because of this situation. I was charged with resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and possession of weapons other than a gun.
All right. Well,
because I had 3 pocket knives.
I don't know, and I'm just spitballing here, right? But and I don't know if you sent me the police report or not, but I'd be curious just to see. Yeah, I got the police report. I'm going to be curious to see who these officers' names are. But you know, I don't know. It might. It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. Quite frankly, I don't know. But you know, we can put out the number to Cranston City Hall, Cranston Police, Cranston Public Schools, and tell people to non-violently, very politely address their concerns. I want to say thank you to Mia, who sent me an email following up on the Brockton mayor's emails, because we asked to follow up because the Brockton mayor's emails, we FOIA'd them, and they sent his text messages, and they were highly redacted. And they were that's the whole point of a FOIA request. This guy's not national security. He's a Brockton mayor. There's nothing that you need to be hiding from us for national security purposes, right? So I appreciate Mia for reaching out and doing a follow-up email. That's something that we could do too. We could maybe even try to organize a protest. But you know, there are things that happen when they have these open cases, and it's just already these people. They arrest you twice for picking up your daughter, and then they beat the shit out of you the second time. And the thing is,
twice. They beat me up twice.
You look like a pretty big dude. I wouldn't want to mess with you. And the funny thing is, though, as soon as you lay one hand back on that person, then you're dead, basically. Then that's a whole nother story. And they just think that they can abuse people. So the link's in the description. I want everyone to donate, even if it's only $1. Say Fake Mike sent you. The link is in the description here, guys. Let's donate, because we need to put the pressure on these people. We need to find some good legal representation, because they still got 2 cases. Now, what are the updates on these cases? What's the next date? What are they saying? Are you representing yourself?
I personally have a court case tomorrow for this, because now I'm in the story that still gets webby, and we're going to continue with that. But I like 3 different active cases going on. I'm out on a violation of let's see, what is it? Okay, I have the court case for October. I have a court case for a no trespass, or 2 no trespass and an obstruction. And then because it's a bail violation, I'm a bail violator from the October arrest, because I was rearrested technically, though I turned myself in. Well, we both had to turn ourselves in for sexual explicit content thing that we found February, which we're getting to, involving school kids and stuff. We'll gonna get to that.
So just to we're gonna explain this. So right now, Josh is out on double bail, was arrested, and then we had to turn ourselves in. So he was arrested in October, and then the incident in February, which we're getting to, not only did he have to turn himself in, but they charged me. I have no record. I have nothing against me, but they decided to put charges against me, and I actually had to turn myself in with Josh. So currently we're both out on bail, all because We were trying to bring attention to sexually explicit text messages, images, and a self-harm note that his daughter had written in videos, trying to get the school to meet with us. They denied it, and then they now charged us with obstruction of an officer, and then him with the no trespasses, where he may serve time in jail for trying to bring attention to this
because
situation.
I'm a bail violator. I had that bail violation may potentially.
And that bail violation is in direct violation to your constitutional rights. You are innocent until proven guilty. You cannot put. They did the same thing to me in Boston, right? I went there. I started filming police. Captain assaults me. He says, "Yeah, keep filming." After he assaults me, allowing me to film, I'm on a public sidewalk, right? Then he assaults me again, and then I get arrested, right? And then the judge says, "Stay out of Boston. You just can't come to Boston." I don't have a criminal record. I haven't been found guilty of anything, but I just can't go to Boston now. I just can't. I'll get arrested. This bail is totally unconstitutional in the first place. And so now I don't know if you guys want to talk about the images, but just with as far as the court case is concerned, are you being represented by anybody? What's that look like?
We finally have.
Oh, you do, yes.
Yeah, it gets, well, we both have representation, but it gets squirrely. The school had put a no trespass order on me, and ultimately they had put a no trespass order on me at this Briggs building, which we tried to resolve. And when I was having my bail hearing, the judge, the city solicitor, tried to have it as a condition of my bail, and the judge was like, she wasn't having it. She didn't find that it was warranted, whatever. But there was still one somehow placed on me. We're told the school, then we're told the police station, we're told conflicting information, and we're trying to resolve it through the school administration emails and such. We were reached out by a city solicitor whom said that it's in by the police and it's going to stay, yada, yada, yada. So there was that in place. We're going to fast forward to February. My daughter has a cell phone she's had for a little while. I'm very much opposed, but it's good for some reason, but very, very bad in a number of others. She was over for her weekend. Unfortunately, she does have a dual home, and it was a Sunday, and she was about to go home within a couple hour time span, not too much. I come around the corner and she's on her phone and she's very suspicious. My ears, I thought, heard like the underwear slap, the elastic slap of the skin, and it piqued up my attention. And I was curious because she was also covered up. So I'm like, plopped down on the couch. What's going on, kid? And she's squirrely and just not Carissa. So I'm like, what's up? So I'm like, I want your phone. No. I had almost wrestled the phone with me. And she's like, "Oh, Daddy, don't take my phone." I ended up getting the phone from her, give the phone to my wife here, because I was kind of concerned what I might find, to be completely honest. There's a little backstory to some of my concerns that I had with her activity over the weeks prior to this day. Anyway, give the phone to Rachel. Rachel begins to examine the content of whatever may or may not be on the phone, and I begin engaging with my daughter. My daughter starts opening up about some things that were alarming about her relationship outside of our home, some content the mother's condoning and allowing and exhibiting and providing certain things, as well as she provides this phone. She tracks the phone GPS-wise. She knows the apps. She allows certain apps. She knows when I call, when I text. She knows stuff. She's involved in a way that I wasn't aware of. And she was also allowing airs of secrecy and hiding things purposely with manipulation and the assistance of my daughter. They were working together, coming to find out. Rachel starts finding some alarming content. Sexual messages, very explicit. Sexual videos, very explicit. Sexual images, very explicit. Some custom made and signed by children. They even used this app called Roblox, which is a child's app, to make these characters in various positions, sexual, in a bedroom, no less, using an eggplant as the penis. So I'm engaging with my daughter about the concerns, yada, yada. I'm not yada, 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 but I don't want to drone on too much because it's important that we give you as many details as possible. So it being she has to go home. Don't make much of an issue about it. We start documenting everything we can. We download it. We send her home. Now, I knew I needed to take action because of what was going on. Ultimately, I went to the court. I filed for an emergency protective order, one condition being the sexual content. I presented it to the court. I was awarded a temporary restraining order, give me 21-day possession, if you will, because I don't know what else to call it, custody of my daughter and preventing any contact and protecting my daughter from any contact
With the mom.
with the mom. That I end up having her. We keep her out, and I take this content and stuff to the police station because I need to know how to navigate going further because I know I have a no trespass order against me. I know how the Cranston police have been, and I know how the school has been.
We went to the state police to ask them to
Yeah, that's what I
escort
was going to
Josh.
say. I mean, and that's the idea of the state police is if you have a problem with one of the local police or a grudge, the state police is supposed to be there in theory to help you out. So what happened with the state police?
Basically, we got brushed off. Very reminiscent to 2019, as in 2019 we had lots of proof of uh, of what took place because we had documents subpoenaed. We also had codes and violations that we tried to present to bring charges against the woman who changed the documents. Many different people I tried to bring charges, and we were basically told no because it was a family court matter. It became civil, and there was no.
Okay, that's how they passed the buck, and that's exactly what I figured that they would do. It's unfortunate, it's shameful, but I don't expect much from the Rhode Island dick grabbing state police, who on video grabbed my dick twice. They didn't do anything about it. Then I was locked in a vault by the mayor of Woonsocket on video. Still don't have a call back on that one, state police. So great job, state police. If you're just joining, some people that are just joining, smash
that's
the
captivity.
Like, share the video. Yeah, crazy. It's lit. Oh, it's so much. You have no idea. So someone was asking for an update on that. Yeah, no update, guys. No update, and no lawyer wants to take that either. I even had somebody secretively who has pull and clout talk to probably the number one lawyer, and he said I wouldn't even touch that. This is not happening, guys. So that's why we need to stand together, or most assuredly we'll hang separately. So if you're just joining, this lovely couple that's joining us, Josh went to pick up his daughter. No crime. He never committed no crime against his daughter. He's on the list. He's the biological father. Can't pick up your daughter. You're arrested. It happens again a second time. So now what we're talking about is maybe I don't even want to speculate, but maybe your daughter's, and I'm apologize for speculating, maybe your daughter's getting more involved in her phone, not only because her mom's manipulating, but she's going through this traumatic BS, right? And she, with all the police and seeing her father getting arrested, meanwhile, she's having an emergency and occur herself. And then now these people have restraining orders. They're dealing with court cases. The link in the description is to help these people out. And so now we're getting the updates on what's going on since then. So that should try to catch you guys up. But yes, go ahead.
So now we're at the state police. We're navigating there. We're showing the documents. We're showing messages. We're, again, pleading my case, much like I said I did in 2019, trying to convince the law to do their job by presenting them the evidence they need to do their job, only to be told, no, we misunderstand their jurisdiction. We misunderstand these certain things. He did mention that he would call the Cranston police to see what he could talk to them there. And we believe he also said that I did need to mitigate this after school and that the restraining order was a good or viable avenue to do so. But they would not escort me. They would not take part in anything further than what they offered, and they would not press charges. They wouldn't do anything because we misunderstood their jurisdiction. So we leave there, go to the school.
So they don't have jurisdiction, apparently, when a father gets arrested for picking up his daughter and then sent to the hospital.
Apparently not.
They don't have jurisdiction on that. They don't have. So, guys, if you got a missing child, don't call the police because the police don't have jurisdiction over your children. They don't. So don't worry about it, guys.
That's why you got to wait 24 hours, isn't it, to report somebody missing, or is it longer now?
Well, understand, no, Josh was aware that he had this no trespass order. He wasn't trying to violate his bail. Hence why we went to the state police and said, hey, can you escort us so that way he can bring this restraining order that the principal knew Josh was bringing?
That's part of their job. That's part of their job.
But they said, no, nope, we're not going to do that. So here we are trying to take these preventative actions to prevent exactly what ends up happening.
Out of your way to do something that you shouldn't even have to do, and they can't do the bare minimum. They can't even do the bare minimum. I thought they were here to protect and serve, right?
That motto,
it used to be on the cars, but now it's opaque. You can't even tell a police car from an ordinary car nowadays. Funny.
That's absolutely right. So the state police don't do anything, and then also
we're sent on our way.
And so they were sent on your way because they don't have jurisdiction over that. And
correct.
So and then DCYF, instead of helping you out, they're being vindictive on behalf of the police. The courts aren't helping you out, and actually they're throwing you into all these courts. And everything that's happened to you is literally illegal. It's not only just unconstitutional, like bare minimum. It's immoral, and nobody bats an eye. There's not one person that you've run into, and you guys have also called media too, right?
Yes.
And so what happened? What happened when you called the media? Because hey, I was arrested twice and then sent to the hospital by the police. You think this would be front page news for picking up my biological daughter? And how did they respond?
We got several different excuses and dismissals. Mostly they gave us the whole family court aspect. But when they saw that it involved school or police, they backed out. A couple of independent journalists at least listened briefly. One actually spoke to my attorney to get permission to even run a story, which she told him no. Then the only independent journalist that we could find out of every place was Dan Bendandi from Truth Radio. Dan
Bendandi is the man. He has changed the course of human history on multiple occasions. We've interviewed him. Dan Bendandi has helped this channel out immensely. Dan Bendandi is one of the most genuine, generous, humble people ever. Go check out his videos over there, Truth Radio show. Check them out because these other people aren't doing the jobs. And I think we should also send a round of emails to the producers over on the websites of Channel 12, Channel 6 too. Send another round, can't hurt. It just at least shows that they're not doing their job anyways. But people you would think would be all over this story. Shout outs to Dan for covering this story. But this is what the media is supposed to be there too. They're the other people that are supposed to be protecting us against the government. When the government wrongs you, the media is supposed to be like the place that you go. But no, they're interviewing people on the streets about whether you like the new license plate design or not. That's important.
Well, what's you want to talk? That's funny you mention that because at the time this was going on, the big story back then was how somebody from Barrington was offended that women were wearing yoga pants in public, and he didn't want to see it. It was on almost every paper or in national news, local national news, and some, national news for almost a week and a half while we were trying to get this story out there. That's what we were hearing.
So somebody's triggered over fashion. Somebody got their feelings hurt over fashion. That goes into a full-blown Gabby Petito news cycle. Meanwhile, you're arrested and abused by police for picking up your daughter biologically. And it's not like, this is just absolutely absurd. So guys, Butch Brady, it's up to you. The Citizens Broadcasting Cooperative, it's up to you. May Chong, it's up to you. Cali Life, everybody, it's up to you to share this video. We don't have the millions and billions of dollars that the media does. We just have each other. And so I can interview these people, but it's incumbent upon you folks to share this video, to donate. We have to be our own system. The government clearly, as how many times have we shown you now, they're not doing their job. They're doing the opposite of their job. right? So we have to do. Yes, I agree, Butch Brady. Some people shouldn't wear yoga pants, but that's not the point of this. Yes, right. But anybody should be able to. You have the right to wear yoga pants or not. That's up to you. But guys, this is very very serious stuff when they're doing this. And now I was thinking, in a perfect world, you wouldn't have to worry about your ex fiance, and you just say, screw this, I'm taking my daughter. I'll go somewhere else and we'll homeschool her. It might not be easy. It's not what I want to do. I don't want to uproot my life and have to do this, right? But I'm guessing that's not a realistic option at this point, especially with the court cases, right? So you got to stare through this and let it all play out. So how?
Correct. She's not much of a co-parent. Actually, the exact opposite. Like I mentioned earlier, and we're a parental alienation example. If there was ever one, my last 12 years of my life with my daughter is that in a nutshell. 100% parental alienation, and this is May is Mental Awareness Month. You want to know what a mental assault is? This. Captivate that with family court. Boom. But I can't do something like that because my daughter and her future is far more important than ending myself over something stupid.
Yeah, and then you end yourself for something that you didn't do, and then what? You got your own business out here too. It's not like you're Monsanto. You don't got a team full of lawyers, and lawyers aren't. You pay them. They do the opposite. There's supposed to be other people here helping. They do the opposite, and they take a whole shit ton of your money. They take all your damn money, and then what are you gonna do? Even in a perfect world, where this situation happened to you, you would at least be able to say, all right, I'm going to take my daughter somewhere else. But then even still, you have to uproot your business. You would have to flee from your home because you're being targeted because you're picking up your daughter from school. This guy's not like a rogue CIA agent. He's being targeted for picking up his daughter for school. I mean, he's still got this going on. So please donate if you can, guys. Links in the description and it's the pinned comment. Please donate and share this video because this is the only way that we have now to really help these folks. We could also send emails to Rhode Island State Representatives, Cranston City Councilmen, and then maybe the Cranston Mayor and say, can you please help these folks out? Send them the link to the video because we have to do something. And I'll open it up to the chat a little bit too while these folks are talking and updating us on this story here too. And you see some of the same players over and over again. One of the things I want to talk about too is with the lawyers, with the police, with DCYF, with Aaron Lynch Prada. There's this overlap. If you guys could talk about that a little bit too while you guys are putting some solutions in the chat for us.
Definitely, I'm going to touch on that. But the small business that I want to mention that's been adversely affected 100% since 2019 because it's basically took our whole life up. Then COVID, so the small business has been exceedingly rocky at best. But the business was built off a hobby that I created through the trying to heal through that parental alienation. It's children's ride-ons. I would build them and modify them and buy them and create them for my daughter so I could take the few days and hours we would have and create the most fun. And through the past 12 years, I've built numerous different ride-ons with her, and Rachel and I and friends of ours have helped build this small family business named after her, Case Customs. So and then it's been adversely affected through this 100%.
And yeah, send me the link to that too, and I'll put that also in the description so people can support with that too. And I know there's some people here, especially, I'm not going to blow up people's spots and dox people, but I know there are some people here from Rhode Island too. So, it would be nice to show up at the police department non-violently, the mayor's office, and just say, hey, what's email? Just send a phone call and say, hey, what's going on with this family? This guy's been arrested twice for picking up his daughter from school. If you guys don't want me to do that, that's fine too. If you don't want me to recommend that too, that's totally fine. But
anything non-violent, we need to let them know that they're on notice. We're going to get to a couple of things we've tried to do to call them out. We want to try to keep the story moving along a little bit because there's not much to the end. Then we can open it up to some of the things that we've actually done.
So,
Well, not end per se, but
so just so people don't lose track, because I know there's definitely a lot going on. So we go to the state police. They don't help us. We end up going to the school that day, so that way he can bring the restraining order to the school, so that way the school knows that his daughter is with him. They need to change the document. She needs to take the bus from us. We also bring the first round of sexually explicit text messages. Now, mind you, these are sixth graders. They were in elementary school last year. I want people to understand, elementary school. And now she's getting messages like, I want to blank you to sleep and such like that. Really descriptive,
yes.
you know? So
Some imagery.
We didn't know who to turn to. So we turned to the school. Hey, these are kids in your school. Fast forward, now mind you, Josh had the active no trespass on. They never tell us to leave. They take this information, and we were told when we left, if you find anything else that pertains to this sexually explicit content, come back. We leave. We get his daughter. That night, she's with us. She goes to school the next day. We're trying to keep something normal for her because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, this content and such. I go through the laptop to keep looking to see if there's anything else. While she's in school that morning, we come across the self-harm note that she wrote during distant learning. While it's about a teacher that she had that is so mean to the kids, she makes her and the other children cry so much that she wanted to hurt herself.
Off herself, not just her.
And she screen capped it. And we found it. We also found videos of other sixth graders dancing in their underwear and all this stuff on her laptop.
These videos exchanged during Zoom meetings.
Like the Google Meets that these children have during distant learning, or if they've been exposed to COVID. So now we're like, oh my God, what's going on?
Shit.
Very perverse.
Very perverse. We also then come across a sexually explicit video that was sent via Snapchat, filmed in the elementary school gymnasium.
February 14th.
And it's two boys, one white, one black. The white boy says to the black boy, hey, can you tell them how much you like to lick salty black balls? Suck on salty black balls. And he literally touches his face and there's gumballs or something in his mouth.
Round balls in his mouth, and he goes through the motions of, you get the idea.
And now,
and exchanges it, and it's sent through Snapchat to all the kids that are in also sixth grade or whatever else.
Now, these children, we already know, we don't need to go there at this moment, are definitely being sexualized in the schools. And, you know, knowing what I've learned in the past 2 years of becoming an activist and trying to fight back and stand up for people, now everything that we've been standing up is here at our door. And we're seeing this child was in elementary school. She's 12, she's in sixth grade, and this is not the way these children need to be communicating with each other. We go back to the school. She's in school this day. We go back to address it.
It's about noon, 1 o'clock or so.
Pretty much we get stonewalled.
At the door.
Josh goes, you know, the principal of the school comes out. He's like, we can talk right here. Obviously, this content we just explained to you is not something you talk about in a breezeway, which is the same breezeway.
Not even in the breezeway. Outside.
We were outside. Didn't even let us in the school. They say you got to leave. You can go talk to the police. We're not dealing with you. Josh ends up removing his daughter from school that day. We leave. Now we're distraught. Two parents trying to figure out how to address a self-harm. Like, this child's welfare is at stake right now, and we're concerned trying to figure out how do we navigate this.
The prior day, I was at least at school for about 40 minutes or so, dealing with the vice principal, changing documents, so forth. I was there for a while. Nobody said leave. Nobody challenged me. None of those things. The very next day, stonewall the door, grab my daughter, leave.
So we go back to our home. I start firing out an email. I include the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the whole school committee, the city solicitor, every news person I know. And I'm like, this is absurd. We need to address these issues. We have an active restraining order against the mom. We sent the self-harm note so they could see it. Like, we're looking for attention in the sense of, how do we rectify this? This child is now telling us she wants to hurt herself. This is not a joke.
We even say that we're going to press charges if somebody doesn't help us, because since 2019, we've gotten nothing but stonewall for every situation just about that I've had to deal with respect to that school district, especially the assistant, well, not even assistant, the superintendent. Blanket.
So they know we're coming to the school. We send the email off. We're on our way. We go there. It's still COVID era, as Josh had mentioned earlier. We have masks. We walk in. we buzz. Hi.
Another foyer. We couldn't get inside this administration building.
So we buzz, and Josh mentions, "Hey, I'm here to see, the superintendent. Would like to speak."
All three of us, me, myself, and my daughter, Rachel and myself and my daughter, excuse me.
While we're in there, Josh's phone rings. It ends up being who was at the time his current public defender. The public defender tells Josh that the city solicitor reached out to him and stated that the Cranston police may be dropping a warrant for you for trespassing.
And it was as a courtesy call that he received, no less. His words.
So now here we are, knowing that the mental health of our daughter is at stake, that there's explicit content taking place in the school that we're trying to address, and we're trying to, go about what we think is the appropriate way to handle some of these situations. Because we now know that they may or may not be dropping a warrant, we hear sirens. Josh looks at me, he's like, we should probably go, because the last thing we need to do is have his daughter see her father get arrested again.
Again, still active cases, because we're arrested for this situation we're talking about right now. Again, I was arrested twice. She's arrested once. We had to turn ourselves in. We're getting them.
So we leave the building and we get into our van and we leave. Fast forward 7 o'clock that night, he gets a phone call from his lawyer because he has the active case from October.
Still public defender, correct?
Still public defender. And his lawyer says that not only is Josh charged with no trespassing and obstruction of an officer, that they are charging me with obstruction of an officer.
And we have until noon, 11 or noon the next day to turn ourselves in before the warrants go live.
Now, he has full custody of his daughter right now because there's the restraining order against the mother. We went to go get help, and this is what the school department did to us along with the current Cranston police. We end up, fast forward, we make it through the weekend. We arranged to be able to turn ourselves in because obviously we can't drive around with warrants.
And sole custody of my daughter is if I get taken, then where's she going to go? The school even tried to manipulate the situation. Check this out. They did call DCYF and tried to put in a emergency wellness check. But somehow, even with a restraining order, the mom's still actively involved, changes the kid's schedule and a bunch of other things, but somehow talks to DCYF in place of me, somehow gets this wellness check absolved, and I never heard from anybody. Check that out. So talk about messed up.
So we both arranged to turn ourselves in. We have a family friend watch
Carissa, my daughter,
his daughter, while we go and literally turn ourselves into the Cranston Police Department, because we have to still address these issues regardless whether they're constitutional or not. They play games, take a while to actually do it.
Process.
It was a big thing. Moving forward, so you can kind of see where we are at currently. So currently, Josh is out on double bail. I'm out on bail. We both
probation officer. I mean, the public defender recuses himself because there's a conflict of interest. He claims to me that because he was on the phone with me that day in the breezeway, that it's a conflict of interest. And my understanding is they may try to use him as a material witness against me. So now I get a second court-issued a private attorney who was a joke. It was a huge scene. I had to get rid of him. Now I have a private attorney, and Rachel herself had received the same public defender who had to recuse himself from her case, and now she has a court-appointed private attorney who's actually seems to have a little bit of grit behind her.
So we both have no trespasses. So if an emergency happens on the school grounds, we can't go help my stepdaughter or his daughter. We both can't go to the administration building. I've sent opera requests in to get the books and other things that we've been working on. So they're aware of who we are. Both out on bail. I'm going to trial at the end of the month. He's still in the middle of his. I'm fighting it because it was illegal. But one of the things that we've tried to do to hold accountability, and I'm open to suggestions here, folks. I can definitely give you the Cranston School Committee members' emails. I appreciate any support in that fact. But what we've done is, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of bonds for the win. There's surety bonds that elected officials have across the whole United States.
Well, bonds for the win is a tactic that this group came up with to strong arm, for lack of a better word, these local districts to remove the mask mandates because they were going to go after
their insurance liability. Or it's called a surety bond, or they have blanket liability insurances. It's different everywhere, and of course, Rhode Island is set up completely different.
corrupt.
So we created what's called a letter of intent, which states all the local, federal, and international laws that have been broken between all the violations that have taken place with his arrest.
In 2019 specifically.
2019.
And then we incorporated some of the others.
And then we incorporated obviously some of the current October and February and all this, and stated it and said, you know, if you don't open an investigation, which we actually have documents to prove that those documents were changed illegally, that we're going to go after your insurance policy. It's kind of like E&O insurance. You make a mistake, someone can go after it. So people have an idea. So on April 11th, I served the committee. We actually were uncomfortable with both of us being in there because we didn't know if the Cranston police were going to arrest us. Because we really don't know what they're planning on doing, because the police ended up getting called to the school committee meeting. Josh stayed outside. A bunch of really great patriots here locally came with me and his daughter to present this letter of intent.
Freedom fighter and core members.
Yes, we appreciate them. While I spoke and called the school committee out, some fellow patriots, the Liberty Sisters from CORE, went and served our letters of intent to the entire school committee. And then we got ignored. Yet again, no contact, no email, no phone call, no the investigation's open, no nothing, until this past Friday we received, this past week we got a phone call stating our claim was denied. He didn't give me any reason why it was declined. He didn't tell me what they found, what they didn't found, just that they spoke to the member and that it was there's no liability on their side. And
the member being the school itself, Cranston School Department. Oh,
one of the things that I'd like to point out is, so the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust is a risk management company that's a nonprofit that is member owned. They bring in like $8.9 million a year as a nonprofit, but they're member owned. It just so happens that the chief financial officer for the school department in Cranston sits on the board of trustees. He sits on the underwriting committee and the management committee of the trust. And here we are in the city of Cranston trying to get a claim put in, but this gentleman,
the superintendent, also sits on this board somehow. And the way this particular situation works out, they actually have to file the claim against themselves in order for it to proceed. So if I'm the one with or she's the one with the insurance, and I have an issue with her, she has to say to her company, yes, I did wrong.
Investigate me or something like that.
Or something along them lines.
So like, Will, if I were to get into a car accident, I hit your car and you're like, you are, or vice versa, I can go above you if I have proof and go to your insurance company and get compensation if you got, you know, if you refuse to cooperate. Here, when I talked to the gentleman, one of the people that I spoke with at the trust, I said, hi, I'd like to now file my claim. Told me that there's a Rhode Island statute that I got to get, because he never told me, that the only way a claim can be filed is if the person, like you said, files it against themselves. That, I don't know if that, how does that even make sense? So it's
like investigating yourself. You're not going to find any wrongdoing, essentially.
Yeah, so now where do we stand with everything? Because every single place you're supposed to get justice from, you're not getting it. And we have an overlap of all these people that you're talking about too. We didn't even get into
Aaron Lynch yet, or the ACLU. We're getting there.
And some of the overlaps here too, with Aaron Lynch Prada and how she's on so many different, she does so many different conflicting government positions. I'll put her up on screen real quick too.
So yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
yep.
Talk about Aaron Lynch, yeah.
No, the 2019 situation brought us to trying to pass legislation, reform some kind of at least documentation amongst the school departments. For instance, if I'm a contractor and I go to get a building permit, it's unified across the state. Here, every policy is different amongst the school departments, so there's no uniformity. We were looking for some of that. we see Erin Lynch Prater in her senator capacity, which she was at the time. She hears the situation that expired in 2019, and because of her family court experience, was very alarmed, or at least her legal experience, she was admittedly very alarmed, very moved, or at least very convincingly so, where I had fired my criminal attorney who wasn't helping me at all, actually sabotaged me numerous times, and I retained her. Again, the situation of COVID transpiring put family court in a basically down spiral standstill. And now we're basically emailing, exchanging, and having these online meets. A lot of those meets happen behind closed doors without myself or the defendant, my daughter's mother, being present. It was just the attorneys and the judge. So I don't have a clue what half of them were. At one point during this long drawn out court fiasco, I get this email where she's no longer going to represent me. Now, I have been paying attention to her because I've watched some of your work, Will, and I knew that she was a snake in the grass after, unfortunately, hiring her. There was a bill that she was working on that was a parents' rights bill, which overlooked fathers. And so these were some of the questions that also were brought to light while she was retained. Ultimately, she recused herself by email to be placed at the seat of a Supreme Court judge bench that she was issued by her good friend, Gina Quina Raimondo. She basically, in email, said, I'm no longer going to represent you, etc., etc. I get a letter in the mail, wasn't even certified, saying the same thing, and that was the extent of it. I blew her off because I was pretty heated, and I get a phone call, like on a random Sunday, saying, hey, did you get my messages? I'm like, yeah. I tried to challenge her. She says, well, if you want to challenge, you basically have to take me to court. Nobody's going to make a lawyer take on a case. So I was like, I washed my hands of it. I ended up getting a letter in the mail because I didn't challenge it. She's no longer my lawyer. And now I'm representing myself pro se in a very ugly family court matter. And she now has a nice lifetime position as a Superior Court judge, or Supreme Court judge, excuse me.
And one of the things to say, Josh was able to pull him and his ex out of family court because it was taking effect on his daughter. But part of what Erin Lynch was supposed to do is we were talking to her about the 2019 incident with these documents, which resulted in Josh's arrest, which resulted in being in family court. So part of her taking everything to the end was she was supposed to help expose what had taken place.
And she refused to at every turn. She chose her own way to go about it. I brought her other sexual questionable acts that were taking place with content on the phone. She fluffed it off. There was a number of things, including tax problems, and there was a lot of. My daughter even ran away for 6 weeks and ran to my house, middle of the night. I tried to get her to intervene. Now, just let her stay there until it pans out. It wasn't until Thanksgiving that her daughter's mother says, oh, woe is me, I need my daughter back. 6 weeks. The week of Thanksgiving, it becomes a problem. And the judge is like, well, you shouldn't have been doing that. You have to bring her back. My judge even fought for the fact of what was going on, why she ran away. None of the stipulations as to what was going on. She faltered every step of the way. She never even presented the criminal court aspect or the criminal aspect. She even admittedly said to us one time privately, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. I'll do it next time. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. I'll do it next time. It never happened.
And so, as you guys are talking about this stuff too, I'm looking up Zachary Burns here, who was the officer on the initial 2019, which is the initial thing that started all this up. And was he the school resource officer, or was he there that he was a separate officer who was there because of there was a potential?
The resource,
yeah,
correct. The resource officer were off scene. There was a police officer in their place. Correct.
And so he's the one that started this entire thing off too. I'll put this up on screen. I thought this was pretty interesting. It's very difficult to actually. Maybe you can tell me which one he is here and which picture in this picture here. But it's because it's really tough to find some information on old old Zachary here. Well, we'll skip it. What? Who cares what he looks like? But this was interesting out of the Providence Journal. If you're tuning in from somewhere else in the country, as most of you are, Providence Journal is like our New York Times. It's the biggest mainstream, quote unquote, out here, so it's official. Headline: Pink capri pants. We're talking about yoga pants for police officers. A stretch. Acting Police Chief Christopher Palacio said he knew something was up when one of his police officers ordered a small T-shirt with his annual clothing voucher. And it goes on to say that these cops are basically abusing the system, and talking about a few of them here. One of them here, Officer Zachary Burns, who used to work for North Providence, Rhode Island, before he worked for Cranston. So I wonder why he switched. It would be interesting. I'd love for someone in the chat could find out why Officer Zachary Burns of Cranston, Rhode Island, whom we wish nothing but the best for, and we're always nonviolent. And again, if people call, that's great, but you've got to be polite. But I'd be curious to see why he left North Providence and is now employed with Cranston. But maybe because of this, I don't know. Officer Zachary Burns, hired in 2011, had to reimburse the town $88 after he ordered 2 Nike women's tank tops and a pair of pink capri pants for his wife. Maybe Zach was the one that was offended about these pants and started that outcry nationally to do this. So Zach is a theft himself, and he's stealing people's children now too. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just another little addition on Mr. Officer or Mr. Zachary Burns. There was a recent assault here in the Cranston holding cell. A young man was assaulted by a police officer who was discharged.
Glad you brought that up.
And he was amongst the viewers. He was there while this officer assaulted this young man in the precinct. The kid was pretty well beat up, and this
cop sat there and watched the guy get abused. This cop sat here, Zachary Burns, who stole women's underwear, capris, and tank tops, DK, for his wife. He also just sits there. Well, not only does another one of his police officers break his oath, but beat the shit out of somebody.
Yes, they did.
That's the kind of, I'm just following orders. He told me to sit there while he's not even just following orders. He's just sitting there watching somebody. Remember, cops are never even supposed to hurt anybody, right? They're supposed to just apprehend you and then bring you to get processed, and then a jury of your peers, they can decide. There's none of this extra stuff that this family is unfortunately enduring. So this is these are the people that are. I mean, that's crazy. This guy didn't steal capri. He didn't steal yoga pants. He just went to go pick up his daughter from school, and so he's dealing with this now. So what do you think going forward? I mean, what do you think the prospects are here with the courts? And I know that can be difficult to predict, but what's your sense of this going in with these different cases and so forth? And obviously that can change, but what do you hope for? And what do you think is realistic that we're going to see going on in the near future?
Realistic, because I know they're going to try every way possible to make it difficult. We're going to have to persevere and not give in. I wasn't wrong. I've never denied being loud in the school, okay? But there was very extenuating circumstances that raised my intensity up. I was never violent. I was never anything to that extent where I needed to be assaulted in the way. For the trespass, I was acting out of necessity, trying to avoid any kind of problem, going through whatever channels I thought would be the correct maneuver, correct process, only to be denied. We've been denied injustice in this from the very beginning, but we have to stay on it. We have to stay forward. I'm hoping interviews like this will help shed some light, maybe put some pressure, maybe get a civil attorney or some kind of connection that'll help either, jump on, throw some information. I don't know. We're looking to the universe and to the blessings of individuals like yourself who are willing to listen and help get this message out there, create the awareness that something else will happen. I'm sure we've missed some things, but it's tough to go through. I mean, talking about this, I get this like muscle memory in the back of my neck where Officer Burns for the first time had me in a headlock. Like my neck gets into this position where I'm in a lot of pain right now, and it's annoying. And comes the headache, comes to this, comes to that, and so kind of talking about it gets.
No, I understand, man. And I appreciate you guys coming on and speaking out and doing this. So now it's in the hands of the audience here. We need to go ahead and let's see if you guys know any lawyers. Get in contact with me. If you guys know anybody anywhere that can help us out. The link in the description to donate, that's going to help us out. One of the things that lawyers do like is money. So hopefully you guys go over there. If everybody could give $1, $10, $100, that would really help out. And the link is in the description. It's the pinned comment, and share the video regardless whether you can afford to donate or not. Share this video and get it out far and wide. I will, if they'll allow me to, we'll get an update with these guys in a little bit after they I'll be curious to even see what happens at court tomorrow. These guys got court tomorrow, so yes, if you believe in prayers, positive energy, but also even if you believe in the law of attraction, the last 6 letters are still action. So we need to take action, even if it's just sharing the video, it's getting it out with other people. I would recommend you guys sending this video out to your local. I would actually not even recommend sending this video out. I would just say, hey, have you heard about? I would email. I'll put them up here on screen so you guys can see before we go. But Rhode Island, here's the local things. ABC6. Rhode Island. So you just type in ABC6RI, right? It pops up. I'll go through a couple of them, and this is what you do. You go to the website. Real easy. Let's make the media do their job, right? So usually you go to the bottom here, and let's see, community, about, be a contact somewhere. Community, let's see, where is it? Maybe it's at the top. Terms of use. Sorry, guys. ABC News team.
While you're doing that, I do want to mention that another, since the most recent altercation over the situation with the school, thankfully, another journalist locally, Mike Stenhouse, who runs a couple of
in the dugout,
in the Ocean State Current, is another independent individual who's called on the school committee, to conduct an investigation. We'd love an open and independent investigation, because that's the key word, open and independent. Because like we've said, if you investigate yourself, you very seldom find anything wrong. I mean, back when this originally happened, when it was a lot cleaner and a lot more condensed in 2019, we sent a very clean, structured packet to ACLU to try to get results, and we got stonewalled. I even had several long and some very disgruntled conversation with Lynette Labinger, who is supposedly the primo civil rights activist here in Rhode Island. And she basically said, because it's father's rights, I'm a father, and because it was family court, there was no venue she was willing to address, and pretty much nobody else would. Speaking of the journalism, we tried DePietro. We ended up going in bombing basically his Trump rallies, where he would show up trying to go live. I would show up with my sign. My wife and I would show up with signs, basically protesting his feed, not necessarily protesting the rally, but protesting his feed. And that's how I ended up meeting Dan Bindani, because he's like, whoa, I like what's going on here. So we've been active, and we're trying any avenue. And again, with the active cases, we do need to be careful, but we're not hiding anything. We're open and transparent because we haven't done anything wrong. We want to call on them to do the right thing, and persecuting us isn't it.
Yeah. And as I'm just putting up on screen, guys, these are the local channels. You go to Boston, Rhode Island, just Google Rhode Island, Boston Media, ABC6, NBC 10, Boston Globe, Providence Journal. Just Google it. But yeah, you can see the numbers. If you usually scroll down sometimes at the top, I'm putting up on screen just how to do it. The numbers, the emails, right? It's all right here. And this is the simple free things that you can do that only take a few minutes, right? Compose an email, right? To hear all the emails here. And you just compose one email, you copy and paste. Hey, I was wondering, uh, nobody's covering this. I would really appreciate if you cover the gentleman from Cranston who has been arrested illegally twice and beaten by Cranston police for legally picking up his daughter. There's video and there's links. And send that over. And then also, I want to say one other thing too before we let you go. If anybody is able to help you in any way, whether it be legally, financially, or from the media or anything like that, is there a best way to get in touch with you guys, or is it the link here in the description? Is it can they contact you here from this link too? But or what's the best way?
You can find us on Facebook, either one, if you want to share that. Rachel, if you don't mind, we have a phone number we can provide as well.
No, I wouldn't put a phone number here. I would say if you go to email.
Our Case Customs.
Case Customs, which is kind of convoluted. I can send it afterwards, but when you suggest kind of the options to help, we are open to any one of the couple of things where in short that we want to possibly present or offer up is we're still addressing the school committee before the end of the school year ends, and we're trying to pressure them by either show up at the meetings, speak, make statements, hold signs, just be there. Email them aggressively, obviously, politely, no profanity, no violence, none of that, please, please, please. But that's one venue. Plus, with the trespass orders that we have, Richard had a very great idea that I think we've even mentioned it to you, Will, that if we could show up in a very peaceful but silent, unified protest with similar shirts, some like a solid color shirt or whatever, to support my daughter, who will unfortunately be there alone because we can't be there.
You didn't explain it. So, Josh's daughter is in band, and because of our no trespass orders, the first time she's ever going to be performing, we're not allowed to attend. It's here in Cranston. I can supply some information, and we were looking to band together people who would, like you said, wear the same color shirts. We're open to suggestions and show up in solidarity so that way she knows that we're there and that we're not giving up the fight for her and everything that's gone on. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm looking through the Cranston City Council. We'll put the meetings up there. That's a good idea. Let's hit me up after court tomorrow. Let me know how that goes, and then let's try to organize something where we could get people out there nonviolently and let themselves be heard peacefully and loudly.
Yes, please.
So people can do that. And so thank you guys for joining us. I'd like to have you guys back on very soon. And that way we can get an update about this. And yeah, so I want you guys to all find the link. It's up here on screen. I'm gonna let these folks go so they can have the day. God bless you guys. Thank you. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep streaming for a few minutes here, and I want to get this number up. I want to get this number up on this donation page. So it's the link comment here in the chat if you're joining us in the chat, and I hope that you do leave a comment and the share for the algorithm. But we have on screen, and so far we don't have anything here. No donations. This is Give and Go, Shine Brightly, help us fight for justice and accountability. And we just went through the whole thing. You can read the whole thing here. It's got everything here. Let's see. I wonder if that's the YouTube video of okay, so that's a private video, so we'll leave that. I don't know if they want that. I don't know, but yeah, you can give now. Right here's the link. Share it. Share this on your timelines too. Not even one person has prayed. That's sad. I'm gonna pray now. Prayers using curse or hate. I'm gonna say a prayer in my head. but we need to get at least one prayer out there. So I think we should all take a moment and use our intention, because the power of intention is real. And let's take a moment here and let's do some good old fashioned quantum activism. And let's say an intention, a prayer, or whatever you like to call it. Let's say something right now. Let's take a minute of dead air and let's pray that we change this stuff. Let's intention ourselves that the shit does get better. It's like we can at least focus on that. But like I said earlier, the last 6 letters are action. We need to take action too. But let's take a minute right here. And before we take this minute, everyone share this video. And when I'm done saying this little moment or two, I want to refresh this, and I'm hoping that we get a couple bucks donations over here. So I'm gonna fill this out, and before I fill this out, I'm gonna take a moment here, guys, and just to do that, because I want us all to do some quantum activism. So come on, guys, let's give. All right, frick it. I'll get $5. Anybody match me out here with $5? I ain't putting my credit card information on camera, though. I'll tell you that much. I'll start it. Be careful. Wants you to give an extra $1 to this person. If you want to, go ahead. I'm just going to charge $5. All right, guys. I'm going to enter my credit card information. You're going to see in a minute. It's going to pop up at $5. Please, guys. Yeah, let's get a lawyer. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get a lawyer. Let's be nonviolent. If you call, you call. Please donate. The link's in the description. The link's in the comments. This is just stuff that should not, under any circumstances, be happening to anybody. So yeah, let's get this video out, please. Let's donate. Let's share. If you guys have any ideas, you can email me, FakeMicRealNews@gmail.com, if you want to help these people. And I feel like you're legitimate about it. I can get I can get you in contact with these people here if you have some way to help these people one way or another. So I'm gonna leave you guys be with this. I'm gonna do my donation. Hopefully this will go up a little bit and these people can get some help. So you guys have a good night. Be back with more videos, and please check out the videos that I've been releasing. You guys are watching some not as much, but I got a lot of dope videos out recently and coming out. So please check them out. But most importantly, thank you for donating. Thank you very much for donating. Awesome. Thank you. So let's get some bucks on these people, because that's how we make the difference, right? We got to make our own community. We just listen to this story, and we listen to countless stories on this channel of lawyers, DCYF, police, ACLU, state police, local police, judges, everybody, media, everyone that's supposed to help, they don't help. So we got to help. We got to do it. We don't want to do it. Shoot. That's why they get the money, right? That's why they steal tax money from us, so they could do it. But we got to do it anyways, guys. So there's no other way about it. All right, guys. Love y'all. Peace.